This is 24 Inside.
Welcome to 24 Inside, brought to you by Allstate. You're in good hands. I am filling in for the gorgeous Daphne. My name is Lynette Rice. I'm a senior writer for Entertainment Weekly, and I also write about 24 for our sister website, and that is EW.com. First off, you are here with a studio audience who just saw the episode. What did you think? You know, we are really obsessed about this show at the magazine, and it's mostly due to the guest we have here today. Please welcome the man who would be Habib Marwan, everyone, Arnold Vosloo.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I look back over your career, and I've noticed that you've played Darkman 2 times, The Mummy, of course, several times, and now this character. Are the bad guy characters coming to you, or are you going to the bad guy characters?
Probably a bit of both, you know, probably a bit of both. The bad guy is always the most fun. Always say you get to start the fire, you know, you walk in through the front door and throw a chair through a window and kiss the girl and burn the house down, and then the good guy has to come in, you know, and put out the fire and bandage the girl, so I get to do all the fun stuff.
Now, you are from South Africa, that's right?
Born in South Africa.
How much acting did you do there, and then when did you come to the States?
My parents are both professional actors, so it's sort of the family gig, and came to America about 12 years ago, was asked to come do a play here, South African play, an anti-apartheid play, and we toured all over the country, Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Seattle, and somebody saw me in that and gave me a job in a movie called Hard Target, where I killed a lot of people. You know.
It started there.
Yeah.
Well, let's get right to the show. The first question I have, I don't know if you recall, I don't know if you read many headlines, but back at the beginning of the show, there was some controversy due to the fact that there were Muslims playing terrorists, and there were also the creation of a new character that we've never seen on TV before, and that was the Araz family. And there are advocacy groups out there that worried whether that was creating a new stereotype. What did you think about these characters? What did you think about this idea of, ripping from the headlines?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's what keeps 24 immediate, you know, that, I mean, at the end of the day, it's fiction, but it draws from life, and, let's not be blind to the fact that the boys that caused all the trouble in 9/11 were all Muslim. It's unfortunate, but they were, you know, and so the writers chose to draw from that, and it happens to work for this particular show, so I think people should just get over it.
All right. All right, let me get some questions. This is an email from Douglas in Natchez, Mississippi. Congratulations on making it through the entire season. Most villains don't live past a few episodes. When you signed up for this role, did you know it was going to be for the full season, or were you surprised with an extension midway?
Very good question. No, I was originally cast or asked to come do the show just for 4 episodes. The writers weren't sure where this character was going to go, and had me come on and did the first 4 episodes, and it became a 5th one and became a 6th one, and then they had a chat to me and said that they'd like to keep me on for the full season. I think I started, I don't even know when I started, episode 6 or 7, somewhere there, and I can not give anything away, but I'll say that I go throughout the whole season. I make it to episode 24.
About what time? About what time do they tell you that you're going the whole way? About what episode?
I don't know, 10th, 11th episode, somewhere. After I'd shot 4, so I think I started episode 7, so somewhere around 11, somewhere there, they said they think they'd like to keep me on.
It really speaks to how the writers fly by the seat of their pants with this.
Yeah.
Were you surprised that they really didn't know how it's going to end?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a popular show, and you'd think they were more competent than that, but it's not. That's what's cool about the show, is that they really kind of draw from, like I said, real life events and casting and different aspects that sort of feeds whichever direction they want to go with the show. And that, I think, is what keeps the show so immediate. You know, they have some idea of where they want to go, but they're not sure how to get there. And things inspire them, and whether it be actors or real live events and whatever, and they kind of run with that. And I think that's what gives the show its immediacy.
Another email from Kelly in Miami. What did the writers tell you about Marwan's background? Did you come up with your own backstory for him as you developed the character?
No. This has been a fun and easy job in that I really haven't. And I also didn't want to, because once again the terrorism thing is such a real issue. I didn't want to delve too deeply into it, and I didn't really want to go there. So I thought I'll just play the meanest SOB on television and not worry about the backstory. Let's just worry about this 24 hours. This is a man on a mission. He wants to get this done, and is happy to walk over your corpse to get there. And nothing will step in his way. So I really just kind of focused on that. But they did tell me that, because I said to them, look, I have what I think is a South African accent. And I said, oh, don't worry about it. People won't know, where you're from. But they did tell me that I was Turkish, that the character, Habib Marwan, was Turkish and educated in the UK. And he's here in your backyard making trouble.
But they didn't give you any cause that you're fighting for?
No, none of that stuff. And like I said, there was a part of me that really didn't want to go there because it is such a real issue. The one thing I did do was look on the internet at the photographs of the 9/11 hijackers. And that one photograph of the lead hijacker, Mohammed Atta, really just struck me. He's just got such a... I mean, it's all in the face when you see that photograph. He's just such an evil kind of person. Just such an evil visage in his face. And I thought, if I could just create that guy's eyes, if I could recreate that, then I'm 90% there. And hopefully we've done that.
So what did you do? I mean, did you stand in front of the mirror at home and
No, none of that stuff. You just sort of put yourself in the place of a person that really is dedicated to this one thing, Early on in the show, I think by the 5th episode, they actually gave me a wife and a child. And we shot a scene where I go to my wife and child and say, look, things have gone wrong with the nuclear meltdown, and they know who I am. They've made me, and you guys need to get out of town. And it was a very emotional scene and stuff, and they decided not to have it on the air or put it on the air. For whatever the reasons are, I didn't ask them or find out. But whether it was too sympathetic or whether, it just didn't work for the story, that was their decision. But no, it's just my job to go in and play really the flip side of Jack Bauer, flip side of the coin, to play somebody that's gung-ho for this one thing, It happens to be a bad thing, but he's into this one thing. He's got his point of view, and kind of Jack Bauer is the opposite of that.
That's a good little morsel about the family. Will the family come back? Is that just done?
If I don't come back, the family won't come back, and I can't tell you whether I come back. So.
Wow. Wow.
I can, but I'll have to kill you.
Yeah, absolutely. This is from a member of the audience, Kimberly Danko. Raise your hand, Kimberly. Her question, what does Marwan really want? You just answered that. He must have some demands. Are there we've heard some of the demands in this episode, didn't we?
Yes, yes. What all these guys want is their way of life, or, world domination, and not to see the other guy's point of view. I'm not sure, in the next episode, how much of that they'll show, but certainly in this episode, Jack Bauer and I have started to talk about what I want and why we're doing this, and we get a sense of the guy's mission. But I don't think it'll be in spite of what Marwan thinks he wants, I don't think it'll be a bad thing for him to go on a date with Pamela Anderson and drink a glass of red wine and see the American way of life. It might change his mind about things.
Email from Nick T. in New York City. How did Marwan escape in the desert? As an actor, do you feel the writers take too many liberties like this?
Yeah, Yeah, Marwan does tend to escape, doesn't he? But Marwan is, you know, that's one of the cool things about the character is that he's calm and collected and always 3 or 4 chess moves ahead of everybody else. So just when you think you've got him cornered, he's got something else going on. And how he escaped from the desert, in fact, Pamela Anderson picked him up in a helicopter.
So basically we're not supposed to ask that question?
No.
Okay,
No.
all right. An email from Freddie in Maine. With both your roles in The Mummy and now as Marwan, do you ever get stopped on the street by fans who are afraid of you?
They don't stop you, but they yell things at you. Because they're afraid of you, you know. Because they're a little afraid, they don't come up and say, were you the guy in The Mummy? Or, you know, are you Marwan? Or whatever. So they tend to, if I'm in the Save-On or wherever, Pavilions or whatever supermarket or something, and, you know, buying razor blades or whatever, and, you know, you'll just hear a voice, you know. Someone called Jack Bauer. Marwan is looking at Shaverblade. What is this, you know? And it's somebody, and then you'll see somebody scurry off down an aisle running away, you know. So, very strange, very strange.
So you're recognized now more for Marwan than The Mummy?
Yes, definitely. The Mummy was one thing, and also in that I had the shaved head, and I look a lot like, or people tell me I look a lot like an actor called Billy Zane. And so in the beginning of my career, I got, you know, were you the guy in the Titanic? And so, of course, yeah, it's me. But then it became the Mummy thing, and now definitely Marwan. He's taken over from Imhotep. Yeah, he's meaner. At least Imhotep, you know, did what he did because of love, and but this Marwan is a whole nother kettle of fish.
Oh. An audience member, Robin First. Question: what did Marwan do with Beiruz? Now, I think this is when, because Beiruz, isn't he back at CTU now? Is he back at CTU? Where is
yes,
he?
didn't Curtis save him? I think
Yes.
Curtis saved him. But he was going to come back for the trade for Bauer. We did that diversion to throw them off from finding out about the plane that was going to shoot the president down. But Beiruz never made it back to me. Had he made it back to CTU, he'd be dead.
More importantly, what did
back to me, he'd be dead, but he made it back to CTU.
What did you do with Dina? Now, that was, to me, that was a hanging chad for me. I just had a problem with that because you see that she's shot off screen, and your first question is, okay, are they opening up the possibility that she will come back again? I mean, what were you led to believe from that scene?
I asked the question, why don't we just shoot her? And they said, you know, it's just gory if you blow someone's brains out on television, so you kind of have to do it around the corner, you know, especially it's a lady and all that stuff. So you know, it's more acceptable, you know. But as far as I know, she's dead, unless you know something, unless my guys blew it, you know, and then I have to talk to them.
An email from Patricia Butler. What is your favorite episode or scene from the season? Do you hope your character gets a reprieve and returns to torture Jack next year?
Yeah. My favorite scene is the scene with the family that you'll never see.
That's for an outtake show.
Yeah, maybe it'll be on the DVD. Apparently they put these outtakes on the DVDs. But that was a lovely scene for me personally. And because I had a little kid and a wife, and I never get to have those things. I always have a gun or a machete in my hand. So it was really nice to have a wife and a kid. But that was a lovely scene. No, I think tonight's episode, the scene where Jack and I sit down from each other, was a fun scene as well, because you get to hear from Marwan, you know, about what it is that he wants, and what in fact he wants is already happening, and how America's foreign policy can affect what happens, you know, on American soil. So that's an interesting scene, sort of in mainstream television, to have that kind of conversation. I think that's about it. I didn't get to torture Jack much. I think Kiefer was a little loath for me to slap him around, so it never really happened. Yeah.
I guess you can't really talk about next season because that would potentially give away what happens.
Yeah. No, we're just going to have to tune in and see what happens to Marwan, episode 24.
Ignoring what may happen, would this be the kind of show you would like to come back to? Was it a good time?
Yes, I had a great time. One of the interesting things about Los Angeles, I live here, I have a house here, but you never work here. You never work here. You just always get the work. You go and meet a bunch of people in suits, and and executives and stuff, and they call you the next day and they say you have the part. And then they give you a plane ticket and you fly to Toronto, Vancouver, or Mexico, or Europe, or Sydney, Australia, or wherever, you know. So it's been really nice. I kind of felt like I've had like a proper day job because I see my wife at night and she cooks a meal and it's really nice instead of being in a hotel somewhere, you know, oh, I love you, I miss you, you know, have that conversation over and over. So it's really nice to go to work at 9 o'clock and, wow, this is fantastic. This is like being a banker or something. And then you come home at 5 o'clock. So it's been really great in terms of just the hours and that sort of stuff. Of course, one of the bad things about the show is when you get into the night time, you know, the 12 hours that's dark, you work during the night. So we had a lot of night shoots during the rain. So, but that's, you know, that's small potatoes.
Email from Chief in the 24 forum. Have you seen any other seasons of 24 before joining the cast? If so, how does Marwan stack up compared to prior villains like Stephen Saunders and Ira Gaines?
No, I hadn't. I hadn't seen anything. When they offered it to me originally, like I said, I was in Germany, and I didn't know the show. I knew it was popular. My agent said, oh, you must do it. It's going to be good for your career. I knew Kiefer was in it, you know, because he'd had success with it in terms of awards and stuff, but I didn't know anything about it, and got hired and chatted to the producers and did wardrobe, and that was it. You know, that's, in fact, I think the first day I did the wardrobe is when I was told that it's all 24 hours, that it's one day, you know, and just went and did it. You know, we get a lot of the credit because we meaning actors, because we are after all the faces of the characters or of the different television shows. But ultimately, I believe, and I'm not knocking it, but acting is really a secondary art. Writing is a primary art, and an actor is really as good as his script. So it's wonderful, you know, all the stuff that's come my way because of 24, but at the end of the day, it's the good writing. Don't kid yourself. You know, if I read those questions, or if I read from a telephone directory, you'd all leave in 2 minutes. So, so it really has to do with the writing, and an actor is really as good as his scripts, and fortunately, these guys know what they're doing.
Tell me about that audition. What did you have to do? Did you read with Kiefer?
No, I didn't. I didn't audition. I'd met and worked with Howard Gordon, who was one of the executive producers on this, on a show of his. I did 2 or 3 episodes of a series that he did that got cancelled called Strange Days or Strange World. I don't know. It was some job we did in Vancouver. And met him and thought he was a lovely guy, and I guess he's sort of the primary reason they hired me for this. You know, he remembered me from that, so they hired me from this. So there was no actual audition. My first shooting day on set was a building downtown Los Angeles, and, you know, gun in my hand, running downstairs. That was it.
You talked about looking up the man responsible for 9/11. Was that is that all the preparation you did for this?
Yeah, it was just, you know, this guy's a terrorist, and he means harm, and eventually we'll come to learn, you know, what his agenda will be. And I thought, well, that's a good place to start, you know, because those guys were successful and were very good at bringing to bear, you know, the evil that they planned. And not, I mean, the amazing thing is that nobody kind of squealed, you know. And the interesting thing about Marwan and all his guys, he's sort of got this army behind him. It's sort of this pyramid that he's at the top of, and there's this legion of cadres and of guys behind him, and that are all committed to this cause. And so I thought that there was some kind of similarity for me in that, you know, that these guys planned something obviously for a long time, 2 or 3 years, 10 years even. And this is the day that, you know, they're going to unleash hell, and Jack Bauer's got to come to the rescue.
We need to talk about that army, because some of them, I don't know if you agree with me, some of them are, well, they're kind of like nitwits. I mean, you're the smart guy, but the guys around you often stumble on the jobs they have to do and ultimately have to kill themselves or get themselves killed. Didn't you ever think, didn't that strike you as a little odd that, you know, you're the smart dude?
Yeah, it's, you know, you always, you know, wonder, couldn't he have picked a few smarter, you know, guys working for him? But No, it's television, and it makes, it makes for good splatter when they blast the guys. So, let them eat cake. Kill my guys. Why not? Kill them all.
This is an audience question from Adam Kazmirsky. If you could eliminate one CTU analyst to stop them from tracking you, who would it be?
If I could eliminate one CTU analyst, probably Edgar.
Now, that seems personal to me. Is that personal? Or?
Yeah, it just would seem. I know the audience would squirm if I started hurting Edgar. Yeah. Because he's sort of the least, challenging person, and it would just be the really mean thing to
do, right?
To pick on Edgar.
An email from Eddie Galinsky. How does Marwan manage to outwit CTU at almost every turn? Could he have received training from Nina Myers?
In fact, Nina Myers picked him up in that helicopter in the desert. So.
Email from Archie in Baltimore. You don't seem as dark-skinned as your character. Does the makeup department do that to you?
Yes, they do. They use Visiora #3.
Oh.
Which is some sort of makeup thing. So they put a really nice tan on me. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Audience member Timothy Bessinger from Everett, Washington. He's here from far away. In The Mummy, this is the most important question. In The Mummy, how did the black bugs make you feel? Do they freak you out? Because they freaked me out.
Well, I never saw the black bugs until I saw the movie, so I had no idea. I was just told by the director, standing in front of this big green screen, that you just have to open your mouth wide, or do this or do that, and all these bugs are going to come out. I'm like, whatever, you guys are paying me, I'll do it. So went ahead and did it, but the effects were pretty cool on that film. I remember the one shot. I kill one of the characters, Steve Dunham. Played the character, and I kind of regenerate, and there's a bug. I think it crawls out of my chest and up my neck, and then there's a hole in my face, and I crunch down on it. And it was a very complicated camera move, because it's a computer that moves the camera as opposed to a person on a dolly. And that took, literally, took 3 days to shoot, to shoot that, what amounts to 4 seconds on screen, so... There's a lot of magic involved and a lot of boredom, but at the end of the day, it all works.
I can't let you go without just a little morsel about the next couple of episodes. Will we see more of the mano a mano with Jack? Is there going to be more conversations just between the two of you?
Yeah, a little more of that, and a little more gunplay, and a little more one-on-one comes to bear, and you'll see what happens. It's quite spectacular, and I'm very happy with the way Marwan and Jack, let me choose my words. I'm very happy with the way Marwan and Jack part ways.
Ah. Will we understand Marwan more? Will we understand what's driving you more by the series end?
Marwan really doesn't care.
Does he seem more humane? Is there a more human side of him? I know we missed out on the family scene, but will we learn to love him in some way?
There's no chance of that.
I'm trying here. I'm just trying.
No, if you, let me address the camera. If you have fallen in love with Marwan, I suggest some therapy as soon as possible.
That's all I have time for. Thank you so much.
Cool.
This is 24 Inside, brought to you by Allstate. You're in good hands. See you next time.
Thanks,